Well, you knew it was bound to happen some point after all the rainouts in 2022 for the Guardians. They are back at it again with their first doubleheader on Tuesday, so we are shut out of any actual baseball action here on Monday night. Hey, Punxsutawney Phil said there was going to be a longer winter back in February. Maybe he just took a brief vacation and forgot to let us know that spring wasn't officially here in Cleveland in the Midwest. Nonetheless, we got you covered because we don't take days off here on Locked On Guardians. We got you covered every day. Coming up next.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/MLB60 and use the code MLB60 for 60% off, plus free shipping. I might actually try that one for myself. I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you get podcasts. We have your team covered every day. In terms of some everydayers, I want to mention at the top, DB Sice, Andy, I believe also Andy, who was, I must be getting better at my pronunciations. He was the guy who would help me with pronunciations, but do it very nicely. I always appreciate Andy for that. I saw Moving Target has now said it in the last two shows, so I did want to give him credit as well. And Samuel Watkins, who I was talking with a bit today about some draft stuff. So we'll get through everyone. I'm writing them down. I made a list. I'm checking it twice, giving my shout outs, whether you're naughty or nice. What is naughty? Yeah, as long as you're an everyday. What is naughty is the weather. It's kind of amazing, I think, too. I'm surprised we haven't had a rain out already. Last year I felt like, let me get potentially in trouble here. If you ever needed a sign of climate change, it was last year, because I swear there was more rainouts, delays, and cancellations in 2022 than there was in my entire lifetime before then. It was never ending a year ago. So it happens. I think you and I got excited at first, maybe thinking things could line up and it could be an interesting call up, or maybe it was just me. You just texted me like news is coming and I'm like, oh, promotion. And you're like, no, just a rain out. I'm like, oh
yeah, it's like, just, that's all it is. Yeah. But hey, rain, sleet, or snow, we're always here. Even if you don't want us here, unless the internet knocks us out, I guess that's one keeps us.
Or someone drives into a pole in my neighborhood, you know.
Yeah, that's happened too. How about that? Hopefully that was not as bad as it sounds. But Guardians and Tigers will play a twin bill on Tuesday, 1:10. And then I believe they're doing the second game a half hour after the first game or thereabouts. So traditional doubleheader. So yeah, 1:10 and probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5-ish. We'll see. So you'll get 18 innings of baseball. I did see someone on Twitter asked us, are these 18 inning games? Yes, the Major League Baseball has not done the 7-inning doubleheader since the pandemic. I think that was the only year they did the 7-inning doubleheaders. I don't think they've done it since then. So that's good. It's good in the minor leagues. So let me tell you, the 7-inning doubleheaders in the minor leagues are good. In the major leagues, we can keep it at what it is. So that's fine. But yeah, they'll play at 1:10. Cleveland sticking with Hunter Gaddis in game 1, Peyton Battenfield in game 2. The Tigers are staying on the same schedule as well. They will go with Matt Boyd at 1:10 and Eduardo Rodriguez in game 2. So nothing changes there. Both teams will get a 27th man. I think you could go to your local bookie, or I don't know if they'll give you.
They wouldn't take your bet.
If they offer you a prop bet on FanDuel, who the Cleveland's 27th man will be, I would go ahead and put money on Connor Pilkington, even though he's not going to start. He is the only guy on the 40 they could call up from the minors, except for Joey Cantillo, which is not happening. Just don't get any crazy ideas. That is not happening. Pilkington was lined up to pitch on Tuesday anyway, so guess what? The Clippers will need to go with a bullpen game on Tuesday. It's not official, but by the time you're listening to this, if it's not Connor Pilkington, that means. If it's not Connor Pilkington, the only guy I'm pretty sure they can call up is Joey Cantillo. So it's got to be Connor Pilkington, right? There's nobody else. So, yeah, I don't know who the Tigers guy will be, but I can almost guarantee it's going to be Pilkington. It'll be probably a bullpen game for Columbus down in
I did have someone ask me, so to clarify, you can't do that. Like the only way you could call up a guy not add him to the 40 man was when it was COVID stuff. So someone was asking me, can they do that for the doubleheader? I'm like, no, it's got to be a 40 man.
Yeah, and I don't think that's even a thing anymore. I don't think you
Yeah.
can call up. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess if somebody comes out in the case of COVID, you probably still could if it somehow happens. It
Are
might
they even
happen. I don't know.
testing? I mean,
I have no idea. I guess if you go to the doctor and they tell you have COVID, I guess they would tell you, and maybe that would. I don't know if the exemption is still in effect. That would not require a 40 man move, and even then, it would probably be like Tukey Toussaint or Jason Billis if that was the case. Guy's not in the 40. No, but it'll almost be certainly Connor Pilkington as the 27th man. Nothing exciting, unfortunately, but we will give you some dart throws in terms of call up predictions, dates. Jeff and I are gonna try to play Nostradamus on this and tell you when we think guys are getting called up to get you excited, and we'll get your hopes down when we're wrong, because that's what we do here. We'll get to that in the second segment, but the real big news today, I think, was that the Twins extended Pablo Lopez. So this is Guardians adjacent news, since there was no Guardians actual news, but nice contract for Pablo Lopez. 4 years, $73.5 million. Keeps him in Minnesota till 2027. So that's 4 more years. He would be 33 by the time that contract is over. I think that's I think that'd be pretty good for him and the Twins. And I think I would say Shane Bieber probably gets, I don't know. I think Shane Bieber gets slightly more, but I don't know if he gets that much more. What do you think? I'm the way things are trending, I'm not sure how I feel about Shane Bieber's contract future. Like, the velocity's no longer there. He's not missing a lot of bats. I'm not going to sit here and make any conclusions that Shane Bieber can't strike guys out anymore, because we thought last April and May he wasn't as good, and he turned in a very fine season a year ago. And I think what he did a year ago is still who he is. Ironically, he finished last season with a 2.88 ERA. He has a 2.88 ERA right now. That's very bizarre. But he finished exactly 200 innings, 4.9 F4. I think he is who he is a year ago. And I would say, I don't know, 4 years, $80 million. Like, I don't think he's getting paid the big bucks like I thought he would before.
Am I here or not?
You're here in a physical sense, and
I'm just not sure if it's because my browser is like saying not responding. It's not letting me close things. I think he gets more than that. Listen, he was not good to start a year ago. He'll rebound and be better. And pitching once it hits the open market is an entirely different situation. Like, if you can get him at 420, it's one thing, but yeah, he'll hit the open market and he'll get. I think the low end for him is $25 million a year, like for 125. But yeah,
that's true.
We've seen mediocre pitchers get really overpaid, and again, like everyone freaks out about Bieber at the start of every year, and then he ends up being,
fine.
A top 10 pitcher in the American League. So, and he's got that track record. I mean, Lopez is solid, but he is not that. I mean, Miles Miklos, if I could get the data, if my browser wasn't currently a back page on my screen, just got 2 years, $40 million. And he's going to be, for his age, 36 and 37 year, or maybe it's 37, 38. And this is a guy that's dealt with, even with tons of health, strikes out less than 7 batters per 9. It's kind of a mess. So yeah, I think he's easily going to get 25 or more.
Okay.
Rebound or no rebound, even if he's just a solid number 2 all year, I still think he's going to get paid in the open market.
Yeah, sure. I didn't consider that. The open market definitely changes things. The Twins are able to lock up Lopez before he got there. It was funny. I saw on MLB Network the other day that they were talking about, when are you a free agent? And they're like, are you back with the Twins next year? And he was locked up through next year already. They had 2 years of control on him, but he's like, no, I'm not. And I guess were some hints about them locking him up before this happened. He's off to a good start, I will say. Pablo Lopez, 4 starts, 33 strikeouts in 26 innings, 6 walks. I don't know if Pablo Lopez is an ace, but he is definitely the Twins' best pitcher. No, I lied. Joe Ryan's better, but that's,
he's
I don't
a
know.
Solid
That
2-3 type.
Yeah. And I don't want to say Bieber's not an ace, but I feel like he's closer to Pablo Lopez than he is an ace right now.
He's been top 10 when he's healthy. He's always a top 10 pitcher in the American League at the WAR at the end of the year. So like I said, I just don't want to jump the gun on that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. I guess we'll see how people view him in the future, because is baseball ever going to change in how they view free agents? Like, obviously Cleveland doesn't do this. They know they're not paying for future value, because they don't get to that point with guys. Like Jose Ramirez is obviously the rare exception for them, but especially with pitching, they've never done it with pitching really. So, is a team going to say, well, we feel like we know we're going to get out of him the next 5 years, so here's the contract we'll give him. Who knows how he will play out over the course of them. But you're right. It's best not to jump the gun. He probably will get more than Pablo Lopez. I'm curious to see how Bieber holds up over the long term. But at least it kind of sets it kind of gives you the guideline of where this is going. So that's kind of all your news really that was Guardians relevant on Monday, as there was a rainout. But we are going to take a shot at when other pitching prospects are going to come up in just a second. All right, our newest sponsor. If you want to get Shane Bieber in So Rare, the revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace that is transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players across all 30 MLB teams. They have partnered with some of your favorite MLB stars, Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez. Those are some good cards you're definitely going to want to get in addition to Shane Bieber. MLB game weeks and So Rare happen twice weekly in a span of a 3 to 4 day cycle. And at the end of the game week, managers who rank at or near the top of their leaderboards win a variety of rewards, which can include scarcity cards, merch, game tickets, signed jerseys, VIP experiences, and prizes will vary depending on competition. So head to sorare.com/lockedon. That is SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today, or you can go over to Twitter and check out my guy at Lex Hooper. That is at Lex Hooper on Twitter. He will get you the hookup of all the guys that you need to set in your So Rare lineup. He is the czar of all that content over there. So check out that. It's So Rare. Prospect call-up prediction. So I think we're still waiting on Jeff to come back here as he went all bye-bye frozen. We were talking off air yesterday about when guys are going to come up and the precedent of when, especially AAA starters, when those guys start to be in line for the call-up. Shane Bieber only made a handful of starts in the minors. I'm sorry, in AAA, I should say. In 2018, he made 8. So Logan Allen is well past the threshold, although he got the AAA and struggled last year. They didn't necessarily need him last year, which was a good thing. They didn't need him at the end of the year last year. And he struggled in AAA. So the timing didn't work out as well. So he is well past that threshold, and I think Bieber was on a different timeline. So look, we know that Tristan McKenzie's not coming back until Memorial Day weekend. At the earliest on Memorial Day. We have no idea on Aaron Savali, truthfully. Anything could happen there. I'm penciling in Hunter Gaddis and Peyton Banfield. This could go well for the short term. I mean, again, Detroit's not a great team. It could be fine going this route. Miami's not a great hitting team either, although they shouldn't. It should be a 2-start week for Banfield and Gaddis. So that's interesting because Battenfield would go Saturday and Gaddis would go on Sunday. So you're looking at a 2-star week for them against Miami. Miami's not really a great team. Then you got Colorado, not a great team. By the way, while we're talking about Colorado, Nolan Jones, great start in the Pacific Coast League, 6 homers, and it is the Pacific Coast League. So let's remember that quickly. But the Rockies called him up a couple days ago And he sat on the bench for 4 days, didn't even collect a single plate appearance. And then he's back in Albuquerque, which is where AAA is for them. I am absolutely flabbergasted by the Rockies for doing that. Like, I thought Cleveland handled him a little bit weird. That's even weirder for the Rockies. Just what a goofy situation. Anyway, but the way things, Boston's not great. They're doing okay. The Yankees, I have Giancarlo Stanton on the IL. They're coming up in the first week of May. I'm thinking, okay, the way it lines up. So Logan Allen, I looked the other day. I believe he is scheduled to start. I can pull up the official game notes. I wish I would have had these up to begin with. But the way things are lined up. Now, it depends on what Columbus decides to do in terms of their rotation. Again, they're going to need probably a bullpen day on Tuesday as they're they're going to lose their starter Connor Pilkington on Tuesday. It'll be a bullpen day. Logan Allen Logan Allen went on Sunday, so he would be going again on Friday, the 21st. If they keep him on a 5-day rotation schedule, you're talking again on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're talking about him again going in the middle of the week next week. I think the way things are working out, he is lined up, if they need him, could be in that Detroit series when Detroit comes to Cleveland May 8th through the 10th. So I'm going to throw a dart at the board here and say that Logan Allen comes up that Detroit series in early May. That's where my guess is with him. That'll be, if he's 4 starts in, he'll be 5, 6. He'll be about 7 starts in for the season. That would give him close to 20 or 21. So I'm going to throw a dart at the dartboard. I'm going to say Logan Allen's up the first week of May. That Detroit series seems like a good time to get his feet wet. Bibee is a different story. I'm thinking Bibee probably more like June at the earliest. Like, I know it's going to happen. We said this before. I have my honeymoon June 12th through the 17th, and the Guardians are in San Diego, which is, California is where Tanner Bibee's from. It depends on the health from then, but I'm going to say Bibee is up that week. I'm going to say sometime in the middle of June when they go to San Diego. It would be my guess for right now. He'll be more than ready by then, and he'll just make his debut close to home, and he'll do it when I'm out of the country. No shock there. The Bo Naylor one to me is a little more interesting. Like, if Cleveland really wanted to, there are at bats for Bo Naylor right now if they really wanted to do it this way, because that DH spot is still kind of open against lefties. Josh Naylor shouldn't be playing against left-handers. They're still doing a good job of rotating guys around where, Stephen Kwan DH'd on Sunday. Jose Ramirez has DH'd, I think, once, with Arias playing third. So they can still go that route. But there's still a bench spot open, and they could replace the third catcher with Bo Naylor, and you could pinch hit and you could split it with Zunino. Zunino's done great offensively so far, so they don't need the catcher offense. That isn't the problem. Defensively, not so great. I was just actually looking at some stats. Mike Zunino, by the way, 1 of 10 throwing out runners. He has a 9% caught stealing rate so far this year. That's pretty bad. But I will say in the past, his career thrown out rate for catching base stealers is 28%. League average the last 11 years is 27. So he's been 1% above league average the last 11 years in the majors. However, league average this year is 15%. So we're seeing caught stealing rates change dramatically. So he is below average. The average has come down quite a bit. So I don't know how we can really judge caught stealing in the majors with this new rule, because it's going to take some time to adjust. And it may just be lower overall, which is very unfortunate. No pass balls so far, which is good. 11 wild pitches, though, which is amazing, because that's not great. So catcher offense isn't the problem. I don't think Bo Naylor is going to necessarily solve catcher defense issues, and they really shouldn't right now. They shouldn't throw that on him. But they're pinch running for Mike Zunino. Cam Gallagher is still the backup who's playing once a week, and you're still pinch running or pinch hitting for him with Neighbors Valoria back there. So they still have that emergency blanket third catcher. You could make Bo Naylor that backup guy if you're going to do that anyway. If you're going to pinch run for Mike Zunino, you can just run Bo Naylor, because Bo Naylor runs well for a catcher, and you can just put him in there late. or he could DH, or he could pinch hit for somebody late. Like, there are ways to work him in if they really wanted to. But I think the better Mike Zunino hits, I don't know how soon they're going to pull this trigger. That's the thing. Like, I think that Bo Naylor, it could be a while before they call him up because Mike Zunino's hitting. And like I said, catcher offense isn't the problem. I thought that would be the issue, and it's not so far. We'll see what happens. But I would still not be surprised to see Bo Naylor around the All-Star break or around there. It just depends how long they want to go with this 3-catcher thing and how much time. I think really it's to buy Mike Zunino some time in terms of coming back from his injury. So I don't know. Why not make one of the 3 catchers Bo Naylor and keep Cam or keep Gloria? I'd say keep Cam. And then we have a pitch hitter and Bo Naylor who can do good for somebody else, or he could pitch run and stay in. Because I don't know, this whole 5-catcher thing on the 40-man roster is very, very bizarre to me. And that's a spot where they could clear up. You know, one of those catchers could go for McKenzie coming back. They could go for Annington or Bibee. There's a lot of ways they could go with this. So Bo, to me, at some point will be up just to clear that up. I don't really have any other real good predictions on who's coming up. I think you're not going to see Joey Cantillo this year. We talked about the 2 pitchers. I don't think you'll see Cantillo this year unless things go very sideways, or maybe he's just that good. But I would expect to see Allen and Bibee before him as well. George Valera is still out with an injury. So, you know, TBD on him, especially with the way Will Brennan has played. So I don't think you can predict anything on George Valera. I said George Valera would make his Major League debut this year. Now I have some really, really big doubts if that is going to happen. I don't know. There's not a lot of other guys I see call-up predictions on. Like, Freeman's already been up. There's no space for Rocchio, guys like that. So I think you're going to be pretty limited in terms of who you're going to see make a Major League debut this year. So it's going to be Bibee and Allen. Bo Naylor will be up at some point. We don't really know when. Like I said, I think it'll be around the All-Star break. Guys that are on the 40, though, it's going to be, you know, kind of a hot mess in terms of how they figure this out. I don't think you're going to see guys like David Fry or any of the relievers necessarily. I thought we could have seen Nick Mikolajczyk this year. That's not going to happen. It'll be a very much lighter slate. Quickly, we'll touch on any extension. Jeff is back, so we'll ask Jeff in a second who he would extend among prospects before call-ups. We'll ask Jeff that in just 1 second. Jeff, welcome back to the show. It's good to see your face again, sort of. If you want to go ahead and throw out your dartboard throws for call-ups. I told you last night off the air that I think Allen could be in line to start, I'm guessing, the Detroit series in May, the first week of May. And then I said, I'm sticking with Tanner Bibee on my honeymoon. That third week of June, the 12th through the 17th, or the 15th when they're in San Diego. It's close to home for him-ish. Not really, but it's California. And I'll be out of the country, so that would just make too much sense. But then I said Bo Naylor close to the All-Star break because this 3-catcher thing is weird, and there are 5 catchers on the 40-man roster, so I have no idea how that's handling. I can't really give a prediction on George Valera because of the injury and the fact that Will Brennan is playing so well. So I don't think it makes sense to replace Gonzalez with George Valera. They have to find another route for that. So any quick dartboard predictions for you on call-ups?
Well, first of all, I'll apologize for the look here. I'm trying to get my other computer up and running. My antivirus seems to have taken over my hard drive and shut down my computer, which is, how an antivirus is supposed to work. But Valera, not going to happen this year. And as you said, Brennan's playing too well. There's no spot for him. I think we see Allen in the next month. I think we see him maybe closer to the end of May. Maybe, I know you've talked about the Detroit series. Bibee, I think June to July. I also wouldn't be shocked if it's not till after the All-Star break, because they're going to be super certain that he is not Super 2. That's the one thing we will see. He's going to get pushed back. Naylor, I honestly think that they're going to kind of, again, push him back because there's no benefit to rushing him out, and Zanino's playing well offensively, and the three-headed monster is enough, and it's what they kind of want to run. So I'm expecting kind of July or August for him. I don't think we see Gavin Williams this year, and I do think there's a chance to see Daniel Espino in that Cody Morris type of role in August. So I'll go ahead and throw that out there. Potentially Joey Cantillo as an August guy as well, because he's already on the 40-man. The reason Espino is because you have to add him anyway. So I'll throw those names out there.
Are there any guys, any prospects? I mean, to me, there's only one, and I don't think it even makes sense to discuss this because of his age, but are there any prospects that you would give pre-debut extensions to? Like, to me, the only guy that makes sense is Tanner Bibee, but they've never done this before. They've never done a pre-call-up extension. Francisco Lindor probably would have been the only case for them to do it, and they didn't do it with him. Bibee, a little bit older, he's a pitcher. I guess, like you could, if Espino was healthy, he'd make a case for it. He's not healthy, so I don't think they would approach that anyway. And I don't know. I think the only guy like George Valera, to me, there's not enough health and track record there to go after that. I don't think they'll do it with Bibee, but like if there was somebody they were going to do it with, he's the only one to me that makes sense right now.
I also think that I don't know if it would ever happen because he's got. What am I blanking? Gavin Williams has Mr. Get to free agency, so I don't think Gavin Williams.
Oh no, he's not taking that. You're right.
He's not taking that, so I don't think Gavin Williams makes any sense. You're kind of hoping right now for, maybe Bibee. I don't see. Maybe Naylor, because catchers are valuable, and you try to lock him into something if you really truly believe he is the answer. It's so hard to find catchers.
That's a big risk.
Degree of that, especially, but yeah, Bibee's really kind of the only one that makes too much sense right now.
Yeah, I don't think anything else is happening there. We'll see. It's just not something they've done historically. And like I said, Lindor is the only guy they could have done it with. But the only guy I would approach is Bibee, but I don't think now is the time to do it. And I just don't think it. He's 24 this year, and like, what would you even do? Like, are you going to give him a 7-year deal out of the gate, like, or a 5 with 2? You're going to buy out all of his free agent. How many free agent years are you going to buy out of that guy? Like, you just don't know.
I think it'd be a 5+3 is probably what you're hoping.
Yeah. Well, you already get 6 anyway, the way you're calling them up.
Yeah.
You're already gained at this point in the season. They've already gained an extra year of control because it's 172 days. So, speaking of Bibee, real quick, Bibee was the International League Pitcher of the Week. No surprise there with a couple 5 shutout innings for Columbus with 8 strikeouts. I should say 6 shutout innings. Tyler Freeman, a super hot week for Columbus. I believe he had 12 hits in total. He had Sunday off. 9 of those hits came in back-to-back days. He had a 5-hit day and a 4-hit day. He was a perfect 4 for 4, I think, on Thursday or Friday. He's been pretty good so far this year. But I know people are like, call Tyler Freeman up. But it's like, I think we even discussed this yesterday. Where would Tyler Freeman even play? Like, Gabriel Arias plays
barely
plays, but he also can play first base. They've worked with him there, so like there is a chance for him to get at bats there when they want to sit Naylor against lefties and they have Bell DHing. So like that's there, but Freeman doesn't have that. They talked about working both those guys into the outfield, but like you can't put Tyler Freeman in right field against lefties because I don't think he has the arm to play out there, and he just hasn't done it. And then, maybe you shift Brennan to right, and then you could put Freeman in left if you want to give Steven Kwan a day off. But that's so at that point you're just kind of searching for it. So it's like, yeah, Freeman's had a hot week or so in Columbus, and he may not have a whole lot to prove in the minors, and he should have a role in the majors. But right now Arias is occupying that role, and he barely plays, and there's no other spot for Freeman. So kind of a hard place for him right now, and it almost feels like. I don't know. I've been saying this for 2 years now. I don't know how they end the year with all these middle infielders. Obviously Ahmed is a free agent at the end of the year. Who knows what's going to happen with him? But you got Freeman, you have Arias, you have Jimenez, you have Angel Martinez, you have Rocchio, you have Tena, who I don't know how long he's going to hang on to a spot for, and then you have Juan Brito on the 40 now. Like, I know at least 2 of those guys are going to go. I'm sure, again, I don't know how much longer Tana's going to hold a spot. And Ahmed, it seems like he is going to vacate one of those spots. But, like, someone's got to go at some point, right? Like, and it almost seems like Freeman, because Angel Martinez should keep pushing up. And I don't know how much longer you can hang on to that guy without him playing.
Yeah, it certainly does feel like they need to. There needs to be a trade at some point, I think, right? You know, it's like you're just at this point in time where it's all, there's too many guys, not enough spots, and it's just doesn't seem to be working super well.
Yeah. We did go a little bit longer than I expected, but real quickly, I just wanted to touch on, I know you can go long about this topic, but we did want to kind of do a quick 5-year review of the MLB draft. So this would be the 2019 draft would be the 5-year point. Depending on how you want to look at things. So I don't know. The 2019 draft has already bared quite a bit of fruit, truthfully. I think if you start looking at the bottom, Jeff, like the guy lowest in the draft who will make their major league debut this year at some point is Nick Enright. He's doing pretty good. Sounds like he's been throwing and progressing. He will pitch at some point this year for Miami. He got taken in the Rule 5 draft, so we are obviously wishing the best for him. He'll make his major league debut. Kevin Kelly, off to a pretty promising start in the Rays bullpen. Did Cleveland kind of make a mistake not protecting him? He got taken in the 19th round, $100,000 signing bonus, and boy, I feel like maybe he could help in the bullpen right now.
Yeah, it's just so hard, and there's so many guys that, you know, it's really hard to go through and be like, yeah, that like. How? Like, I always kind of keep coming back around. It's like, how would they have found a spot for him? It's just so hard to figure it all out.
Yeah. And then you got Matt Waldron in the 18th round, $5,000 signing bonus that year. He has not made his major league debut, and it's not going to be for Cleveland, but he did help you in that San Diego trade, obviously, with a bunch of other guys getting Arias and Cantillo and Owen Miller and Josh Naylor. So, yeah,
it is weird that's the guy that was like the piece back.
Yeah, he was the player to be named later, and he's, I think, in AAA for them now, and he added a knuckleball. Matt Waldron did.
Yeah, I mean, after they drafted him, it was kind of when he was already in Cleveland's system. He had started to work on that knuckleball.
Oh, was it here? Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, the draft does serve as a purpose, not just to build your own farm system, but to make trades. So, you know, that worked out pretty good for them. Just kind of moving up. Mike Capri's in the 13th round, I think, is going to turn out to be an interesting pick as well. Nick Nikolajek in the 11th round. I think he's going to be pitching the majors at some point. You know, he did have Tommy John, unfortunately, but he was on his way. Hopefully he'll work his way back, and we'll see him at some point. 8th round, Will Brennan's already up. Xavier Curry, the 7th round, already up. 5th round, Hunter Gaddis already up. And then, of course, all the way at the top of the draft, you have Daniel Espino, who everybody else is hoping makes his debut sometime soon. Lower in the 32nd round, there's Andrew Misiazek, who at some point could help them out. I don't know when, but there's still a chance for him. Anybody else from this draft that you recall? I know you mentioned an interesting story about Cy Nielsen months ago on the draft, or on one of the shows, because he went to that strange, who was that? Was that Cy Nielsen?
He had a weird path. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he like bounced around. Yeah, it was unusual. He went to Pittsburgh. This is also the point where I'm going to take I don't want to say my victory lap, but I am going to point out that, like, the guy I really liked in the first round was Gunnar Henderson. That was my player with that pick. You know, I was okay. I was not okay with Espino. Let's be honest. You know, if he hits, I'll be wrong on this one. This will be a miss. I was very much injury concerned with him at the time. I had a few guys I like significantly more than him at that point in the draft. So we'll kind of have to wait and see. I think in my redraft, I had him taking Michael Bush. So, you know, that may not even be all that great. But Gunnar Henderson was the other guy there. Those were the two guys I had with higher grades with that selection. So we'll see. It was it was a pretty good draft, but a lot of it is going to come down to Espino there. Yeah,
it really is. I mean, like I said, they've squeezed a lot of fruit from this one, I would say. Like, Brennan and Curry. I think Brennan's going to have a nice major league career. Curry should too in the bullpen. Maybe Gaddis. Like, you're getting a couple guys out of that. But yeah, nobody knows what's going to happen with Yordi's Valdez and Joe Naranjo. I don't know. Christian Cairo. We talked about Christian Cairo a little bit last night after we kind of signed off. Got almost $1 million signing bonus in the 4th round. This is his 3rd year in Lake County. Unfortunately, that's a tough spend for them. It looks like it's not going to bear a whole lot of fruit.
Yeah, and as we know, that 2nd round is cursed anyway. So, like,
yeah,
I know Cairo was an early 3rd, but Valdez and that's it. Like, or no, Cairo's the 4th, and that's the thing. Like, Gaddis and Curry were cheap. Remember, like, all things relative, those guys, because Jordan Brown was someone they had to go. They loved the Junipero kids. Brennan, I think, was slot. Will Bartlett got more than Brennan or Curry. Naranjo, I mean, that was the thing. Cairo got almost $1 million. Naranjo got $800,000. It's a little bit of a $1,001,000 to Yordis. It was a weird draft.
Yeah, it was a weird draft. Yeah, it's really going to come down to Daniel Espino, and I hate to compare everything to the 2016 draft because that was a very special draft, obviously, for Cleveland. And while you were gone, I was talking about Nolan Jones and how he was up for 4 days with Colorado and didn't even get a plate appearance and got sent back down. But
Colorado poop show.
Yeah, they kicked the can down the road on that one. So Juan Brito ends up factoring the 2016 draft down the road. So we'll see there. But the reason to look back at 5 years after the draft is that's kind of the barometer to see how things are panning out. And a lot of these guys have not made their major league debut yet, but 4 of them have. A 5th will at some point, and after that, we still to be determined. So especially when you're talking about high school picks, so we'll see. I was talking about the 2018 draft too, and the 2018 draft has looked like it's going to be a little better. You got Morris and Quan and Nick Sandlin and Bo Naylor. Looks like that's going to be a good draft for them. If
no, you still got the questions with Hankins and Torres. Like, they had 3 first rounders. That was a chance to really hit it big. Richie will have to see. I really liked Rainout, and Rainout Delgado is the highest amount of money they've ever given a 6th rounder, and that obviously hasn't worked. But I mean, Lavastia, it's a good draft. It's just I had high hopes for Robert Broom. That's the Heron draft. So it's listen, they're still doing so much better than they did under Hart or Shapiro. It's not even up for debate. Like, those years, the reason this team had so many ups and downs was like John Hart and Mark Shapiro, whoever they had coordinating things. It was bad. It was about 20 years of some of the worst drafting I've seen. I remember I did a retrospective back when I was at Indians Prospect Insider, and I did 30 years of draft data, and the worst team in baseball is the Reds, followed by the Guardians. Oof. And then a small gap, then the Yankees, then a large gap in everyone else. It was really bad during those years.
There's 50 feet of crap. There's everybody else. Then there's us. Is that the line from Moneyball? Was it 50 feet of crap?
Something like that. And I mean, that was them with the draft. Where, by the way, during that era, number 1 team, Oakland Athletics.
And look where they are now. Oops.
It was Oakland and St. Louis.
My, how the turntables. Well, I think that is about it, Jeff. You got anything else?
Nope. We've gone long on a day where there's nothing to talk about. So, again, sorry for the bad visual quality. I think I finally got everything. For some reason, Windows Defender, which I hate, if anyone knows a way to turn that off permanently, comment below, decided to turn up the highest degree of every guard and completely scuttle my computer's ability to process. So I'll have that back and running tomorrow, so I don't look like I'm hanging out in the Slender Man's cave or something like that. This is awful, so I'm just going to apologize right now. I don't know if the Slender Man has a cave or not. I'm making things up. But thank you for listening, rating, and reviewing. I've added to the list of our everydayers. It's right here. And yeah, we'll keep giving our shout outs. Make sure you check out yesterday's show. The Now did great. The show itself, not as well. So make sure you check out both. And thank you for watching. And go Guardians, go.